Hello and welcome to today's webinar on moving composite products to Great Britain from the European Union, delivered by the Cabinet Office's Border and Protocol Delivery Group. This webinar is part of a series of webinars being run over the next few months and is intended to give traders, in particular EU exporters and British importers, a simple step-by-step guide for how to export goods to Great Britain from the 1st of January 2022, following the introduction of the new importing controls for moving goods into Great Britain. Just before we start, I'll run through some ground rules. So please can you remain on mute throughout the webinar and keep your camera turned off. If you have any questions, please ask these in the Q&A bar or in the chat function. We'll publish a recording of the webinar after the event alongside the slides with a document setting out answers to any frequently asked questions that we've received. So what is changing for people moving goods between the EU and Great Britain? This slide shows the two key dates relating to composite products coming into the country. The first changes are coming into effect from the 1st of January 2022, and the second set are coming in from the 1st of July 2022 onwards. From the 1st of January, full import declarations will be required. This includes the use of simplified procedures called Simplified Customs Declaration Processes, known as SCDP, which was formerly known as CFSP, if you're authorised to do so, and this includes the payment of relevant tariffs at import. Pre-notification via IPAFs will also be required for imports to GB of products of animal origin, animal byproducts, and high-risk food not of animal origin, along with pre-notification for lower-risk plants and plant products. From the 1st of July 2022 onwards, export health certificates will need to be submitted to IPAFs for imports to GB of live animals, products of animal origin, and animal byproducts. Entry summary declarations will be required on imports into Great Britain, and phytosanitary certificates for lower risk plant produce and physical checks will take place on SPS goods at border control posts. This presentation will cover the processes and border procedures required to move composite products from the EU into Great Britain. In this case study, we will be specifically looking at importing pepperoni pizza from Portugal. We will cover the key stages and steps that will apply to moving composite products, by which we mean importing composite products to Great Britain from EU member states. We will talk through the border requirements in Great Britain from the 1st of January 2022 and the 1st of July 2022 onwards. It is important to note that from the 1st of January 2022, Great British ports or terminals receiving goods that are moving into Great Britain from the EU have the option to choose between two models for customs controls. The first model is the temporary storage model, which allows goods to be stored for up to 90 days at a government-approved facility before a declaration is made. And the second model is the new pre-lodgement model, which has been developed as an alternative for where border locations may not have the space or infrastructure to operate a temporary storage regime. In this example, the movement is through the short straits, where the GB port or terminal uses the pre-lodgement model only. The freight is also moving as accompanied ro-ro. So this slide introduces the three main people in our journey. Damien is the exporter based in Portugal, and he sells the pepperoni pizza to Great Britain. Damien has been exporting to Great Britain for a number of years, and he's aware that the UK has now left the European Union and that there are new border requirements and paperwork that he will need to complete. Joe is the driver for the haulage company that Claire has employed to transport the pepperoni pizza. Joe and the haulage company are based in Portugal. They will transport the pepperoni pizza to Great Britain through the short straits, for example, from Calais or Coquelles to Dover or Folkestone. Claire is the importer based in Great Britain. Claire is aware that new border requirements and paperwork will be required to import the pepperoni pizza from Portugal to GB. This slide shows a quick summary of the journey and highlights the new import control changes. It begins in Portugal and finishes in Great Britain. From the 1st of January 2022, Claire provides the details of the goods arriving, which is known as pre-notifying. To do this, she uses IPAFs. IPAFs is the Import of Products, Animals, Food and Feed system, and this is used to notify enforcement authorities about live animals, animal products and high-risk food and feed not of animal origin being moved into Great Britain. From the 1st of January 2022, Damien will also make a merged EU exit summary declaration and an EU export declaration. From the 1st of July 2022 onwards, Damien will apply for an export health certificate and ensure that it is certified by the relevant competent authority. Damien will email Claire a scanned copy of the export health certificate. Joe will enter Great Britain via an established point of entry with an authorised border control post, and his firm will need to complete an entry summary declaration, which will be needed for importing the goods to Great Britain. Finally, Claire will then receive her pepperoni pizza at her premises in Great Britain. So let's now move on to the step-by-step guide. Prior to shipping the goods, Damien, the EU exporter, and Claire, the British importer, will need to agree the type of Incoterms that they are trading on. Incoterms are the rules which set out everyone's responsibilities when exporting and importing. You can click on the link provided in the slides for more information on Incoterms. In this example, Damien will be responsible for and carry out the export procedures, and Claire will be responsible for and carry out the import procedures. Joe's haulage company is transporting the goods and will therefore be responsible for the safety and security declaration. This is an accompanied movement, which means that someone, in this case Joe, will stay with the goods all the way to Claire's premises in Great Britain. Also, just to stress, in this example, the goods are not moving under transit. A link for more information on movements using transit is available in the slide pack. If you decide to use a customs agent to move your goods for you, you will need to agree their roles and responsibilities before shipping the goods. Damien needs to apply for an EU Economic Operators Registration and Identification Number. This is known as an EORI for short. An EU EORI is needed when interacting with EU systems, and a GB EORI number is needed for completing GB customs processes. An EORI identifies who is importing and who is exporting the goods. To apply for an EORI number in the EU, you can go and check out the EU Commission's website or click the link which is available within the slides. Damien also registers for traces. This is the European Commission's online platform for sanitary and phytosanitary certification and is required for the importation of animals, animal products, food and feed of non-animal origin and plants into the European Union, and the intra-EU trade and EU exports of animals and certain animal products. The link for more information on traces can be found within the slides. Just to highlight, in general, most businesses will hire a company such as a freight forwarder or a customs agent to deal with customs for them. Sometimes the company you use to transport your goods can do the customs paperwork for you. However, in this example, Claire and Damien have decided to do the paperwork themselves. Claire will also need to apply for a GB EORI number if she doesn't already have one. Damien should speak to Claire to confirm that she has done this prior to the export. Joe's haulage company will need both an EU and a GB EORI number to use the border and customs systems in the EU and GB. Even if you hire a company to do the customs paperwork for you, you will still need to apply for an EORI number. In this example, Damien needs an EU EORI number, Claire needs a GB EORI number, and as mentioned, Joe's haulage company will need to have both GB and EU EORI numbers. It is important to note that once you have a GB EORI number, you will not need to apply again. The EORI number is related to your company rather than each import or export, and so it will remain the same. Further information on GB EORI numbers can be found on gov.uk by searching EORI, or it can be found on the link within the slides. In this case, Claire, the GB importer receiving the goods, is also the declarant, meaning that she is the person responsible for submitting the import declaration as agreed with Damien in their Incoterms. Claire will need a GB EORI number and access to GB computer systems or software to submit the declarations. In this example, Claire will need to have access to the Customs Handling of Import and Export Freight System. This is known as CHIEF. CHIEF is the GB computer system that records the import declaration when importing goods from overseas. Further information on this can be found in the link within the slides. Claire will need to purchase software to enable her to complete her declaration. She will then need to select a community system provider, a CSP, that operates at her chosen GB port. The CSP will send her declaration electronically to CHIEF. Please note, CHIEF will eventually be replaced by the Customs Declaration Service known as CDS. To access CHIEF, Claire will need to apply using a C1800 form on gov.uk. She will need to include information such as her contact details, her EORI number, which community systems provider she'll be using, the badge allocated to her by the community systems provider, the port location her goods will travel through, and the entry processing unit number. It is important to note that there are costs associated with using this system, and again, many people do choose to use an agent to complete this. Claire also needs access to IPAFs to alert the authorities that her pepperoni pizza will be arriving in Great Britain. She registers for IPAFs using her Government Gateway account. She then creates a DEFRA account and can add team members to the account so that they all are able to access IPAFs. For more information on IPAFs and for guidance on how to register, you can click the link available within the slides. In order to register for IPAFs, you need to be a GB established business. This means that Damien will not be able to complete this step on behalf of Claire. From the 1st of January 2022, Joe's Haulage Company will need to register for the UK's Goods Vehicle Movement Service, known as GVMs. This handles the pre-lodgement of customs declarations. Joe's company will also need to register to use safety and security system called SNSGB. He'll use this to submit the entry summary declarations from the 1st of July 2022. Joe's Haulage Company can register for GVMs through gov.uk. They will need to have a GB EORI number and a Government Gateway user ID and password. If they do not have a user ID, they can create one when they register. Multiple team members can be added so that they can also use this service. Joe's Haulage Company will also need to register to use the SNSGB service on gov.uk. Again, he will need to have a Government Gateway user ID. Once he is registered, they can submit the entry summary declarations by either purchasing compatible software or employing the services of a community systems provider. Under the new trading rules, some EU and GB goods can be moved from the EU into GB without having to pay tariffs. The rules of origin stipulate that only goods produced in the UK or EU benefit from a zero tariff agreement. So if your goods were made in another country, such as China, you would have to pay tariffs. If traders cannot prove that their product meets the rules of origin through the relevant paperwork, they cannot benefit from the zero tariff agreed with the EU. You can search for rules of origin on gov.uk for more information. Claire makes sure that Damien's goods meet the rules of origin. And as Damien's pepperoni pizza is produced in Portugal, Claire can claim a tariff-free rate and won't have to pay tariff costs for moving the goods. You can check the tariff rates for different products at the web address on the slides. The tariff code for frozen pepperoni pizza is also shown on the slides. Claire also needs to check on gov.uk that the pizza is compliant with UK labelling and marketing rules. She needs to do this prior to the export from the EU. For products such as pizza, you will need to show on the label in English the country of origin, the name of the food, the date of freezing, the best before or use by date, any necessary warnings, and the net quantity information. Composite products contain both of the following: processed products of animal origin for human consumption, and plant products as a main ingredient, not just added for flavour or processing. If you're selling food in Great Britain, this includes England, Wales and Scotland, you must also include the name and address of the UK or the EU business responsible for the information on the food. Further information on food labelling packaging can be found in the link on the slides or on gov.uk. Most labelling changes will be required by the 30th of September 2022. From the 1st of January 2021, Claire or a representative on her behalf will need to alert the UK authorities that the pizza will be arriving in Great Britain. Claire uses DEFRA's IPAFs to pre-notify the import. Claire has registered to use IPAFs via gov.uk. Some of the information Claire will need to input into IPAFs to submit her pre-notification includes what is being imported, the date of import into Great Britain, which country it's coming from, this confirms the product, the origin and the destination, the consignment's place of destination, for example the warehouse address. And from the 1st of November 2022, after submitting the pre-notification, Claire will pass on the unique notification number, the UNN, generated to Damien to fill out the export health certificate. So meanwhile, back in Portugal, Damien will need an export health certificate from the 1st of November 2022 to send his pepperoni pizza to Great Britain from his approved premises. Approved premises are premises that have been found to comply with the standards determined by the EU and GB for exporting products of animal origin. All exports of live animals and animal products from the EU to Great Britain need an export health certificate, which is an official document that confirms that the export meets the health requirements of the destination country. Damien applies for an export health certificate, and the Portuguese certifying officer will inspect the goods, issue and sign the certificate. Damien will need an export health certificate each time he sends his pepperoni pizza to the UK from the 1st of November 2022. Please note that the certification process will vary across member states. As an EU exporter, you will need to check the rules with your country's competent authority. The original signed export health certificate must travel with the goods, so Damien will need to give this to Joe the driver before the goods leave. As highlighted, from the 1st of January 2022, Claire will have to pre-notify the UK authorities that her pepperoni pizza will be arriving in Great Britain. She has created the import notification in IPAFs, but has been waiting for the signed copy of the export health certificate. From the 1st of November 2022, Damien has to give Claire a signed, scanned electronic copy of the health certificate. It is then Claire's responsibility to upload this onto IPAFs. The certificate will be subject to remote documentary checks to make sure that the goods are all in order. The use of an official seal is not a mandatory requirement for importing animal products from the EU into GB in all instances. If an official seal is required, this will be stated in the relevant legislation or in the explanatory notes in the export health certificate. Damien will need to submit an export declaration to the Portuguese export system STADA. This may be accompanied by an export accompanying document, which includes the movement reference number. On the export declaration, Portugal will be shown as the country of export and France will be shown as the country of exit from the European Union. Damien lists France as the port of exit because this is where the goods will leave the EU. It is important that Damien lodges his export accompanying documentation and declaration in Portugal. This is the country where he is based, rather than in France, which is the country of exit, because otherwise his business would have to be VAT registered in France to be able to complete the EAD. As Damien has submitted a merged export and safety and security declaration generating an EAD, a separate exit summary declaration will not need to be submitted on the Member States' export control system. If a combined export declaration and safety and security declaration has not been submitted, a separate exit summary declaration would be required. So we know that Damien has submitted the export declaration. He's also prepared his export health certificate and has sent an electronic copy of this to Claire to upload onto IPAFs. It is now time then for Joe to collect the pepperoni pizza from Damien's premises in Portugal and take it to Great Britain. Joe collects the goods and the haulage company ensures that all the relevant documentation has been completed. Before Joe sets off, he will need the movement reference number for the export declaration, the physical paper original of the export health certificate. As mentioned, the original documentation should travel with the goods from the 1st of November 2022. If already available, Joe will need the movement reference number for Claire's import declaration into Great Britain. He does not need to have this before he sets off, but he will need to have this before he reaches the port of departure. And since the 1st of October 2021, Joe will now need to travel with his passport, as Great Britain will no longer accept EU, EEA or Swiss national identity cards unless you have a settled or pre-settled status under the EU settlement scheme. Before the goods board, Claire needs to pre-lodge the GB import documentation. Claire has bought a software application which interfaces with Chief so she can submit the import declaration. She will need to include the following: the CPC, which is a customs procedure code, the commodity code, the declaration unique consignment reference, which is the main reference number that links the declaration in Chief or the customs declaration service. She will also need to provide information such as the departure point and destination, the type, amount and packaging of the goods, the transport method and costs, currencies and evaluation methods, and the certifications and licenses. When Claire submits her import declaration, this produces a movement reference number which she gives to Joe. Joe's firm will need to input the movement reference number and the safety and security entry summary declaration into the GMR, which is the goods movement reference, in preparation for the movement within GVMs. This GMR will need to be presented as part of the check-in at border. There is further detail on GVMs in later slides. As the movement is to a GB port or terminal using the pre-lodgement model, Claire must pre-lodge her import declaration to move the goods into GB before Joe moves the goods to GB. All goods entering Great Britain will need to meet safety and security requirements from the 1st of July 2022. Carriers have the legal responsibility to ensure that the UK Customs Authority is provided with the safety and security pre-arrival information. This is done by way of entry summary declarations for consignments being imported into GB. The carrier is defined as the operator of active means of transport. So for accompanied freight, the haulier is responsible for submitting the entry summary declaration, and for unaccompanied freight, the ferry operator will be responsible. In our case, because the goods are accompanied, it is the haulage company's responsibility to ensure that the safety and security declarations are submitted. So Joe's firm will need to submit an entry summary declaration into the new IT system, SNSGB. As highlighted, this will be required from the 1st of July 2022. The entry summary declaration must be submitted at the earliest of either the minimum timing requirements, so at least 1 hour before arrival in Great Britain for journeys using Eurotunnel, or 2 hours before arrival in Great Britain for short sea journeys, or before the check-in closes. Joe's firm can submit the declaration themselves or find a third party to do this for them. Further information on using S&S GB can be found on gov.uk or by clicking the link in the slides. Also, please note that an entry summary declaration is required at consignment level for all goods imported into GB. So now the goods have left Portugal and are moving through France to the port or terminal. Joe's haulage company can use Groupage when moving the goods through the EU to GB. Groupage is the commercial grouping of multiple consignments with a single sealed trailer or container. This can be done in different ways. For example, with a mixed consignment, meaning multiple product lines of the same commodity type, for example composite products, are grouped under a single export health certificate and imported as a single consignment. It can be done with multiple quantities of the same commodity, for example fish products, potentially from several sources which are grouped into the same container. It may be possible to import these as a single consignment covered by a single health certificate or as a mixed load containing several consignments. It can also be done by mixed load, which means multiple different commodity types, for example dairy products and meat products, are grouped into a single container. There are also 4 models that have been developed for importing groupage loads from the European Union to Great Britain. These are the consolidation hub, the sequential or single, the linear, multiple pallet, or the hybrid approach. To find out more about groupage or see further guidance on these models, you can watch the video that is linked within the slides. It is important to note that in this example, however, Joe is only moving one consignment of pepperoni pizza from the EU to GB. It is not a mixed consignment and the haulage company will not use groupage in this instance. From the 1st of January 2022, Joe's firm will use the Goods Vehicle Movement Service to input the import documentation. The sign-up process for this was outlined earlier in the slides. They will upload the GB import declaration and the entry summary declaration. As the goods move through the EU, Joe's firm uses GVMS's online system to create a goods movement reference known as a GMR. To do this, they will enter the MRN, the movement reference number, for the GB import declaration, the entry summary declaration, and update the GMR with the intended vehicle and crossing detail. All of this will be done in real time so that if anything changes on the journey, the systems are kept up to date. The GMR links all of the declaration references and proves that all the necessary declarations have been pre-lodged. Joe then drives from Portugal to the port or terminal in France. He scans the export documentation at the French border. If Joe is carrying several consignments, products from other customers as well as Damien or Claire, he may choose to use the envelope function on the French customs website to scan the movement reference numbers from the export accompanying documents for all the consignments he is carrying. These movement reference numbers can be linked together in a logistics envelope and paired with the number plate of the truck which is scanned before Joe boards the ferry or shuttle. Using the envelope service is not compulsory, but it allows Joe to scan one barcode at the border rather than several movement reference numbers. Further information on this can be found within the link in the slides. Joe will then provide the goods movement reference, the GMR, to the carrier, the ferry or tunnel operator, on arrival so that it can be checked to ensure that it is valid and correct. The haulier can't board if the GMR is not valid. Depending on the carrier's terms and conditions, the driver or haulier might be asked to present the GMR in the following ways: by entering the GMR during the carrier's booking process, presenting a GMR barcode for scanning at check-in, or by presenting a GMR at check-in, i.e. telling the carrier the GMR number. The GMR includes Joe's vehicle details. If goods require inspection, GVMs will return a held status. This message can be communicated to Joe through various means. Joe can confirm if his goods require further inspection by checking the display information on board the ferry or train, or he can check the status by inputting the GMR into a web page or by typing the vehicle's license plate onto an app. Please note that when the truck embarks on the shuttle or ferry, i.e. is at the point of no return, the export declaration is discharged, communicating with the French system SI Brexit to confirm that the shuttle or ferry has departed. When the ferry or shuttle leaves, the Office of Exit in France will notify the Office of Export in Portugal that the goods have left the EU via the EU's export control system. Jo and the lorry now make the crossing from France to Great Britain via the English Channel. From the 1st of November 2022, physical and identity checks on products of animal origin will take place at border control posts. Joe's company will need to ensure that at the point of entry into GB that he uses a border control post that deals with composite products. A list of border control posts currently available can be found by searching gov.uk for BCPs or can be found within the link in the slides. It's important to know that from the 1st of November 2022, the export health certificate will be subject to remote documentary checks. Joe can check if an inspection is needed in real time and confirm what action is required using a link to a website provided through the driver messaging service. If the goods are selected by customs or the enforcement authority, Joe would have to stop at a border control post or an inland bordering facility for checks to take place. In this example, the pepperoni pizza is however not selected. From the 1st of November 2022, Joe will always need to enter GB via an established point of entry with an authorised border control post that is approved to handle composite products. We can see now that Joe has entered Great Britain. Joe can now drive to Claire's premises in Great Britain and deposit the goods. As we explained earlier, Claire must alert the authorities that her frozen pepperoni pizza is coming through GB by pre-lodging her import declaration through IPAFs before Joe moves the goods to Great Britain. Claire does not need to pay any customs charges for her delivery of pepperoni pizzas. Joe has now delivered the goods successfully to Claire at her premises in Great Britain, and he does not need to take any further action. Once Claire has received the frozen pepperoni pizza, she must now update Chief if any of the details of the import have changed. For example, if the time of import changes compared to the pre-notification she had previously submitted. The declaration must be uploaded to arrived by the end of the working day following the day on which the goods arrived in Great Britain. From the 1st of January 2022, Claire may find simplified declarations useful for making an import declaration. Simplified declarations are designed to defer and delay the submission of the import declaration and payment on goods brought into GB from the EU. To use them, her GB EORI number will need to be approved for Simplified Customs Declaration Processes (SCDP), or she could appoint an agent that is authorised to use simplified declaration procedures before the goods are imported. Claire would make a simplified frontier declaration or an entry into declarants' records at the time the goods are imported. Claire would then need to follow this up by submitting a supplementary declaration before the 4th working day of the month after the date of import. In order to be approved for SCDP, Claire must have a good compliance record as well as a duty deferment account. Further information on this is available on gov.uk. The tariff rates show you the rate of duty and import VAT that you should pay for goods. Prior to the import, Claire checked out and confirmed that this is a zero tariff journey. Tariff codes can be found at the link in the slides. In addition to tariffs, all goods imported into GB incur VAT. The standard rate of VAT in the UK is 20%. However, VAT rates differ on different goods and services. To check the VAT for the products that you are importing, you can check the website shown in the slides. Claire is VAT registered, and so she can use postponed VAT accounting to account for import VAT. Import VAT on imported goods is normally charged at the same rate as if the goods had been supplied in GB. As pepperoni pizza is zero rated in GB, meaning it's a 0% rate of VAT, there is no VAT due on this import. For any imports where VAT does need to be paid, this will be paid on Claire's VAT return that covers the date of import. For more information, please check the link on the slides. There are no payments due in this example, but as Claire has registered for a duty deferment account, this means that if she imports goods regularly, she can make one payment a month through a direct debit instead of paying for individual consignments. Claire has now received her goods and has completed all the relevant actions. This means that the pepperoni pizza is now in free circulation in Great Britain. So these next few slides show a checklist of the actions that each person will need to complete for the movement of the goods. So first, let's take a look at Damien, the Portuguese exporter. So Damien will need an EU EORI number. He will need to agree the terms and conditions with the British importer. He will need to submit the export declaration to the Portuguese customs system. He will need to apply for an export health certificate and arrange inspection and certification with the Portuguese authorities from the 1st of November 2022. He will need to send an electronic copy of the export health certificate to the GB importer to upload notification onto IPAFs from the 1st of November 2022. And from the 1st of November 2022, he will need to ensure that the physical original copy of the export health certificate travels with the goods. So next, Joe the driver will need a copy of the GB importer's GB EORI number, the original certified export health certificate from the exporter as of the 1st of November 2022. He will need the movement reference number as part of the export accompanying document. From the 1st of November 2022, he will need to ensure that the point of entry that he uses as a border control post that deals with the goods that he is importing. His firm must submit an entry summary declaration into the SNS GB system from the 1st of July 2022 and provide the MRN from the ENS to Joe. And since the 1st of October 2021, Joe will need to carry his passport to enter GB. Claire, the British importer, will need to agree the type of Incoterms that she will trade on with the EU exporter. She will need a GB EORI number. She will need to register for a duty deferment account. She will need to check that the goods meet the rules of origin and obtain or provide appropriate evidence to support the import declaration. She will need to check VAT rates for the goods. Check on gov.uk that the goods are compliant with EU labelling and marketing rules. Register on the GB IPAF system to submit her pre-notification for the import and upload the electronic copy of the export health certificate from the 1st of November 2022 onwards. And from the 1st of January 2022, she will need to submit a pre-lodged customs declaration on Chief. So this slide now shows a summary of the steps that have been taken by each of the three people that we've outlined in our journey today. So Damien, the Portuguese exporter, completes the merged exit summary declaration and the export declaration through the Portuguese export system STADA. From the 1st of November 2022, Damien will arrange for an inspection by a certifying officer to issue the export health certificate. And when Damien receives the completed export health certificate, he will send an electronic copy to Claire so that she can pre-notify her consignment on IPAFs. Please note that Damien could use a Portuguese customs agent to help him complete the paperwork, so he won't need to complete it himself. Joe the driver will have the original certified export health certificate and the movement reference number for the export and import declarations, and he will drive the pepperoni pizza through Portugal to France. From the 1st of July 2022, they will need to also complete the entry summary declaration for the goods entering Great Britain. Joe drives the goods onto the ferry or the Eurotunnel and takes the goods through and clears them at the GB border. From the 1st of November 2022, Joe must enter Great Britain via an established point of entry with an authorised border control point. Finally, Claire, the British importer, will receive her pepperoni pizza at our company's premises in Great Britain. Claire had pre-notified the arrival of the goods onto IPAFs before Joe left with the goods. Claire used Chief to pre-notify her import and submit the import declaration. Claire Also input the arrival of the goods on Chief no later than the end of the working day following the goods arriving in Britain. Please note again, Claire could use a British customs agent to help her complete the import paperwork. So this slide contains some useful links for you to use. You can find more information on what you need to do to get ready for the new border control changes at these links. As we mentioned at the start of this presentation, we will be publishing the slides for you to read through and check out the links at your own convenience. So thank you for listening to today's presentation. We hope that you found it useful. We will be taking away any questions that you've posted in the chat, and we will publish the answers to the most frequently asked questions. This should be sent to you via email after the event. The slides will also be available online with a recording of the event, but we will send the slides to you via email. This is so that you can download and click on the links in your own time. Thank you for listening to the presentation today. Goodbye.